Hello guys and gals, Buffalo here. I've got a little something to show you guys today. So this is my new Rossi RM66. These were introduced to the public this year at SHOT Show, but this is actually the first one I'd seen here at my local gun shop. So I bought it just out of curiosity. You guys know how I feel about double action revolvers if you've been a subscriber to this channel very long, and for the price they were asking, I nabbed it up and took it home. So this is a double action, single action, stainless steel revolver with a satin finish, and it is chambered for 6 rounds of .357 Magnum. Most of you already know that any revolver chambered for .357 Magnum can also shoot the .38 specials. It's on a medium-sized frame, though it is on the small side of the medium frames. I'll do a little size comparison later in the video. It has a 6-inch full underlug barrel. You can see it has a ramped front sight held in place by an Allen head screw. The rear sight is fully adjustable. You can see it has a little white outline around the notch there, and it's adjustable for windage here and elevation here. Now, I'll probably end up putting me a little dab of paint on that front sight just to make it easier for me to see, but overall I like the sights on this revolver. Looking at the serrations along the top of the barrel and on the base of the sight, the barrel does appear to be clocked correctly. I've seen some videos where people had these and they weren't clocked correctly, but this one does appear to be clocked pretty much perfectly. It has a hammer mounted firing pin, which in my opinion just looks better than the frame mounted firing pin and flat faced hammers that have become standard on modern revolvers. It does have a hammer block safety, so the firing pin can't make contact with the primer unless the trigger is pulled. So it is safe to carry with all 6 rounds chambered. I'm noticing here too that it doesn't have a keyhole on it like some of the others. I know Taurus puts a keyhole on some of theirs on the hammer. Smith & Wesson puts a keyhole here to allow you to lock the gun up when not in use. But I never use those locks. I think the keyholes just kind of make the gun look ugly, and I'm glad that they didn't put one on this one. Has a nice wide face trigger. I like that, and the action is not bad considering the price point of this revolver, and I'm sure it'll smooth up after a few hundred rounds. And speaking of price point, the MSRP on this revolver is $621 or thereabouts. But it's less, you know, you're going to pay less than that in the store. I paid $485 for this one, plus tax. I actually still have my receipt here next to me in the box. It was actually $484.49 is what I paid for it. Now, that price might vary, you know, depending on where you're at and stuff like that. You guys may find a much better deal, or you may see it for a little more than that. But it does go for much less than MSRP. Now, these are made by Taurus in their manufacturing facilities, so you can probably expect about the same level of quality as with the Taurus line of revolvers. I'm just glad they're keeping the Rossi name alive. Some people have said that the RM66 is the same as the old Model 972. I don't know for sure. I've never owned a 972, so I can't do that comparison. But I'm just glad that the Rossi name is back out there. I've got some .38 specials in here. And that just felt nice. Some of you guys like to see the markings on the guns that I show here, and I don't do that every time. Sometimes I just forget, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. See, it has the Rossi logo there on the side plate. Has the Rossi logo on both sides on the grip. Says Brass Tech International LC, Bainbridge, Georgia, just above the trigger on the lower side plate here. And this side plate, it's fitted okay. Probably can't see it very good on the camera, but there's a little burr right there, and it doesn't align perfect with the frame right here. But for the price point, it's really minor, nothing to complain about. We have RM66 on the frame, just forward the trigger. And of course, the serial number here on the frame and on the barrel. On the other side, we've got Taurus arms, made in Brazil. And then on the bottom of the barrel, we have 38 special / 357 mag. And that's about it as far as markings go on this revolver. It does have a 246 stamped inside the crane here. I don't know if you can see that. But that's all the markings that I see on it. Okay, I'm switching back to the 357 Magnum loads. I do want to say this grip is really nice. It's a rubberized grip that fits my hand really well. Got a shallow cutout here for my thumb to rest. It doesn't have it on the other side, so I guess you wouldn't call it an ambi grip, but just really comfortable to shoot, at least for me, and I'm a right-handed shooter. So let's shoot some of these steel targets. Ejection, really good. That trigger is it's not bad. You know, it's a middle of the road type of trigger, but it's not bad. I've shot a lot of worse triggers. Okay, so as far as trigger pull weight goes, in double action, I'm getting 11.4 pounds. And in single action, looks like about 4.8 pounds. I've got a brick standing up there on top of that little table. I've got a 180 grain hard cast loaded by buffalo bore. Let's smash that brick. Got a chunk landed there. I see a chunk there. There's a chunk on the table. Chunk left where it was sitting when I shot it. And I see another big piece over here. And that's about all I can find of it. I think the rest of it went to dust. As far as the size of this gun goes, it's similar to a Smith & Wesson K-frame, but slimmer. I'll show you that in a second. This is a holster made for medium framed revolvers with a 6-inch barrel. It's advertised for a K-frame or L-frame revolver, but it fits this Rossi RM66 really well. Fits in there really snug. It's not going anywhere. The snap works just fine. So it gives you an idea of the size. And I do have my little K-frame model 617 out here. And you can get an idea. Now I know this is a 22 LR, but it's still a K-frame. If we take a look, you can see how much thicker the frame is on the Smith & Wesson. That makes for a very lightweight revolver by narrowing that frame like that. Can't tell it as much from the bottom. There's a look at that. You might be able to tell somewhat there. But on the flip side, the Rossi is actually wider by about 20 thousandths of an inch because the cylinder is slightly bigger. So you've got a slimmer frame, but the cylinder is slightly larger than the one of the Smith & Wesson. According to my little scale, this gun comes in at about 34.3 ounces. That's pretty darn light for a 6-inch barreled stainless steel 6-shot 357 Magnum revolver. In fact, that's lighter than a 4-inch Smith & Wesson Model 66 that doesn't even have a full underlug. It'll come in at about 37 ounces. Okay, so the only thing that I've done to this revolver is on the first day I took it out, it was shooting a little low, and I adjusted the rear sight up, and that's how I've been shooting it ever since. But I've never sat down and shot it from a rest and shot it on paper and see what it's actually doing, so I thought I'd do that on this video. I'm at 20 yards. I got my target set up at the 20-yard mark. Let's just see where this revolver's hitting in relation to my point of aim. And I use a dead center hold when I'm shooting. Three shots should tell the tale. Just sitting here looking at it, it looks like they hit really close together on the right side of that bullseye. Oh yeah, look at that. So I'm aiming at the middle of this bullseye, just hitting just to the right. The gun's shooting very consistently. I just probably could move that rear sight one click to the left to bring my group to the left just a little bit. But that's pretty good. And if anybody's curious, the ammo I was shooting is this PMC Bronze 158 grain jacketed soft point, rated at 1471 feet per second at the muzzle. Alright, so lock up on this revolver is satisfactory. There's very little play there. Mechanical timing is right on. And as far as cylinder gap goes, this is a 6/1000 of an inch filler gauge, and this is a 5/1000 of an inch. I can't get the 6 to go, but the 5 will go in there very snugly. So I'd say that's about a 5/1000 of an inch cylinder gap, and I did check on all the cylinders. And it's very consistent. Can't get the 6/1000 gauge in. The 5 will go. It's snug, but it'll go. And that's about where I like to see it, between 4 and 6/1000 of an inch. Alright, so I'm losing light fast. I'm going to have to bring this video to a close. I will say I'm happy with my purchase. I'm glad I bought this. It was everything I thought it would be, and a little bit more. It's a lot lighter and easier handling than I expected it to be. So that's a plus. It seems to be very accurate. It's more accurate than I am, I can tell you that. As most guns are, obviously. But be a really good little entry level for somebody on a budget to get into a .357 Magnum revolver, and a good little target revolver with that 6-inch barrel. You could hunt with this thing. Just so many uses. Anything you would use a .357 Magnum revolver for, this could fill that role, and it can do it on a budget. And in today's world, everything is getting outrageous. So it's time to start looking at some more budget options, at least for me. And this fills that role. That's really all I got to say about it. So you guys have a good one, and I'll talk at you again soon.